Professor Zethkar's chitinous claws clicked nervously against his data pad as he watched the shuttle disappear into Corven 7's toxic green atmosphere. 13 students from the Galactic Academy's xenobiology program had volunteered for the research expedition to what many considered the most hostile planet in the Outer Rim territories. The Vorthak professor had tried to dissuade them, but the allure of studying apex predators in their natural habitat proved too strong. The planet below was a verdant nightmare. Its jungles teemed with creatures that defied conventional classification. Some were plant, some were animal, and others existed in the gray area between the two. Corven 7 had earned its reputation as a death world through brutal efficiency. No expedition had ever returned with more than 30% survival rates. Among the 13 students was Marcus Chen, a human exchange student who had joined the program despite being the only representative of his species. The other 12 students, a mix of Zephyrian scholars, crystalline researchers, and hegemony cadets, had initially viewed the human with curiosity and mild condescension. After all, humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, their homeworld, classified as merely hazardous rather than the coveted death world status. The first week passed without communication, which was expected. The dense canopy interfered with most scanning equipment. By the second week, Professor Zethkar had begun pacing his laboratory, his compound eyes fixed on the long-range sensors. On the 15th day, a single shuttle beacon activated. The rescue ship arrived at Corven 7 within hours, its crew expecting to retrieve bodies and maybe salvage research data. Instead, they found Marcus Chen sitting casually beside the landing zone, leaning against what appeared to be a sleeping apex predator, a Corven saber cat, its metallic orange fur gleaming in the alien sunlight. The creature was easily 3 meters long, with retractable claws that could slice through starship hull plating. More shocking still was the collection of objects around Marcus. Several containers filled with vibrant purple fruit, detailed sketches of flora and fauna, and what appeared to be a makeshift shelter constructed from jungle materials. Captain Veltar, a seasoned Zephyrian rescue specialist, approached cautiously. "Student Chen, where are the others?" Marcus looked up from scratching behind the saber cat's ears, an action that should have resulted in immediate dismemberment. "Oh, hey, Captain. The others didn't make it past the first week. Corven 7's ecosystem is pretty unforgiving if you fight against it instead of working with it." The saber cat stretched languidly, fixing its 6 eyes on the rescue team. Several crew members reached for their weapons, but Marcus held up a hand. "Easy, she's just curious. I call her Whiskers. She's been excellent company." "Company, Captain." Veltar's voice cracked through his translator. "That creature could tear through a combat mech." "Only if she felt threatened," Marcus replied, standing and gathering his containers. "Whiskers here is actually quite intelligent. Most of Corven 7's predators are. They don't attack unless they're hungry, protecting territory, or scared. The trick is learning their communication patterns." As if to demonstrate, Marcus made a series of low clicking sounds. The saber cat responded with a rumbling purr that vibrated through the ground. The rescue team watched in stunned silence as Marcus continued his explanation. "The fruit I've collected has incredible nutritional properties. It could revolutionize food synthesis across the galaxy. And the shelter design I developed uses the natural properties of Corven vines to create self-repairing structures." Captain Veltar gestured toward the jungle. "But the other students, how did they—" Marcus's expression grew somber. "They approached Corven 7 like conquerors rather than guests. The Zephyrians tried to establish a fortified base camp, which the local ecosystem interpreted as an invasion. The crystalline students attempted to catalog everything by force, which triggered defensive responses from nearly every species they encountered. The hegemony cadets," he paused. "They tried to hunt for sport. And you survived by befriending. The apex predators?" "Not befriending," Understanding. Marcus stroked Whisker's massive head. Humans evolved on a planet where cooperation often meant survival. We learned to read animal behavior, to find mutual benefit rather than dominance. Earth taught us that the strongest predators often make the most loyal companions when treated with respect. The shuttle ride back to the orbital station was surreal. Whiskers had initially been hesitant to enter the spacecraft, but Marcus's calm confidence seemed to reassure the creature. She curled up in the cargo bay like an oversized house cat, occasionally fixing the crew with those unsettling six-eyed stares. Professor Zethkar nearly fainted when he saw his surviving student emerge from the shuttle. "Marcus, how did you—" "The others. What happened?" "I learned, Professor," Marcus replied simply, then gestured to his saber-cat companion. "And I made a friend. Whiskers here has agreed to participate in our research program. Haven't you, girl?" The saber-cat made a sound that might have been agreement, causing several nearby academics to scramble for safety. Word of the Deathworld incident spread quickly through the Galactic Academy. 12 of the galaxy's brightest students, representing the most advanced civilizations known, had perished on Corven 7. Yet the human, the representative of a species barely a century into interstellar travel, had not only survived, but thrived. The fruit Marcus had collected proved to contain compounds that could enhance immune systems across multiple species. His shelter designs were adopted by frontier colonies throughout the Rim. Most remarkably, his behavioral studies of Corven 7's ecosystem led to breakthroughs in interspecies communication. But perhaps the most significant discovery was philosophical, rather than scientific. The galaxy had long assumed that intelligence meant dominance, that advancement required subjugation of hostile environments. Marcus Chen had demonstrated something different, that true intelligence might lie in harmony rather than conquest. As Professor Zethkar filed his final report, he watched through the laboratory window as Marcus played fetch with Whiskers in the station's modified cargo bay. The human had turned the galaxy's most feared predator into a playful companion through nothing more than patience, respect, and an uncanny ability to see potential friendship where others saw only threat. The report's conclusion would be debated in academic circles for decades. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of humanity is not their resilience in the face of death worlds, but their capacity to transform death worlds into homes. Whiskers pounced on the thrown ball with enthusiasm that shook the station's hull plating, then bounded back to Marcus with the joy of a creature that had found its purpose. In the end, it seemed the jungle hadn't claimed 12 students. It had simply waited for the right one to understand its language.